Welcome back to Old School Sports and our OOTP 22 playthrough of the New York Yankees. We are at the start of the 2034 to 2035 offseason, and the Yankees, for the second time during this playthrough, are World Series champions. Had a exceptional regular season, 113 wins, the second most in franchise history for the Yankees, and then a brilliant postseason where we posted an 11-1 record, swept through the divisional series and the ALCS, and then after losing the first game of the World Series to the Braves, came back to win 4 in a row against them. So the Yankees are champions, and we are going to try to figure out how to hopefully repeat in the upcoming 2035 season. Should be a relatively quiet offseason, potentially, for the Yankees. We had 3 big decisions to make in terms of contract options. Jack Leiter, we decided to bring back. Brian Abreu, another reliever, we brought back. But we are letting Christian Javier move on. He has been a longtime member of this team. You may remember from our last episode that he is actually was injured for the playoffs, unfortunately, this year. Had an option for $22 million for him for next season. He's going to be turning 38 next year. He's wrecked physically at this point, and he's going to be coming off of that partially torn labrum that ended this season early for him. Just did not think it was a great investment. And we did win the World Series despite his injury. So the thought is that even though it'll probably make the bottom end of our rotation a little bit weaker, just not worth the money he was looking for. In contrast, the options we had on both Chapa and Leiter were less expensive. We'll get to Chapa in a minute. The options we had on Leiter, if I can find him, only $8 million for next year that we picked up. He is still a solid starting pitcher. Went 12-7 this past season, 3.72 ERA, 125 ERA plus. So after leading the AL in losses in his first season with the Yankees, he's pitched better these last 2 years. $8 million for a good, solid kind of third or fourth starter is definitely a really good deal as far as I'm concerned. And then Brian Abreu, this was a little bit more of a questionable decision, but we had a 2035 option for him at $4.5 million a year and decided to go ahead with it. Also, he's also getting older, going to turn 38 next season, but still a pretty solid profile as a reliever. And Yankees being the Yankees, we can't afford a bit of a luxury in terms of a somewhat expensive and somewhat aging arm for a middle reliever. Now, moving on to the big decision of our offseason, Bobby Chapa, who we made a massive trade for a couple seasons ago, won the Cy Young in his first year with the Yankees, and then obviously was part of the World Series championship team this year, going 14-5 with a 3.60 ERA. Is a free agent and is looking for a massive contract, and we want to give it to him, try to lock him up before he hits actual free agency. So we have offered him about $204 million over the next 7 years. You can see if you're looking closely, we've also made offers to all of our arbitration eligible players, really 1-year contracts in all of those situations. And then we've offered a bunch of minor league contracts to kind of bring back some of our minor league free agents also. So that is the big work that we've done. Looking at our roster for next season, could always bring on another starting pitcher, but it's not technically a huge need as long as we get Chapa back. I always like to have some insurance and some depth, but with players coming back from injuries, we should have a decent rotation, even though we're going to let Javier go. And then kind of a backup middle infielder is really the only kind of hole we have. We've brought up a lot of young players in recent years to our roster. Can show you some of them here who have really filled out the team. So we have a bit less of a need to hit free agency hard than we have in the past, since we've kind of had a top 10 minor league system most of the 13, 14 years that we've been managing this team, and have done pretty well in terms of developing a lot of good prospects. So Gabe Cologne, 24-year-old, coming off a fantastic year. Dave Bravo at first base. Victor Mejias, our third baseman, and then Jose Montoya, our second baseman, are all players that have come up through our minor league system that are in their 20s, that are filling important roles for us in the starting lineup at reasonable contracts. Although Montoya, we had to make an offer of around $15 million in arbitration for him this year, as he's getting near the end of his arbitration period and will be heading to free agency in a year. The only big decision we have to make as far as a lineup, you may remember that the youngster Eric Cares came up and actually won the World Series MVP for us while playing center field. He's not really our starting center fielder, or he hasn't been, but the 25-year-old has a slightly above average batting profile. He, hit exceptionally well when he came up this year, batting .405 in just 20 at-bats. But to be fair, last year when he was up, he hit just .202 in 242 at-bats. So the reality, I'm sure, is somewhere between the middle of the Mendoza line and the greatest hitter in history. But a good, solid defensive outfielder with plus range, a bit above average error ratings, and excellent arm. Prototypical right fielder, but can definitely play center field for us. And given that we won the World Series with him in center field, it's kind of similar to our thinking on Javier. Our starting center fielder, Mike Grimes, is out and injured. His batting profile, again, maybe slightly above average, and he does have better range in the outfield than Cares, so we would certainly lose something there. But we're also paying Mike Grimes at this point $16 million a year for the next several seasons, and I just don't think he's really that much better than Eric Cares. I'd say Cares is potentially a little bit better of a hitter. Grimes is definitely a better outfielder, and that 70 range, is great for center field, as opposed to what we have with Cares. But 65 is as close as you can be to 70 without being at 70 in the 20 to 85 point scale. So my inclination is that we may try to trade Grimey away this offseason, clear some of that salary from our payroll, and then give the full-time center field job to Eric Cares. So those are the big plans. We'll see what happens with Chapa, and we'll see whether we are able to trade Grimes away this offseason. And we just had a real good day with a lot of our arbitration offers, getting Max Alba, Jose Montoya, Luis Ortiz, Ken Thomas, and Dave Bravo all signed out of arbitration. So we'll avoid arbitration hearings on them. Also have picked up a couple pitching coaches to fill out our minor league system, which is good. At this point, just waiting to hear from our closer, Tim Wallace, on the offer we made to him, and then we can completely avoid arbitration. Still waiting to hear what happens with Bobby Chapa. We have made an offer to Anthony Siegler to come back as our backup catcher. And I mentioned kind of a backup middle infielder was really the only hole we have on the team right now. Could potentially bring Nick Gonzalez back to fill that role. He's going to be turning 36 next season. Still a slightly above average bat, which he has kind of shown over the course of his career with mixed results, but some big seasons. The big concern is that he doesn't play shortstop, but he plays a, respectable first, second, and third base. Not optimal at any of them, but he can play all of those positions. And if we do experience injuries at shortstop with Bo Bichette, our second baseman, Jose Montoya, can slide over and play short. So Gonzalez is an option, but there may be better options out there eventually. So I'm probably not going to chase after trying to sign him before the free agency period actually begins. And some more good news, we got Anthony Siegler signed to come back as our backup catcher, and most importantly, we've got Bobby Chappa signed after making the big trade for him a couple years ago. He is our de facto ace, 28-year-old left-hander, normal injury proneness, and you can see we now have signed him to an extension starting at $24 million this year and then growing over time to be $32 million for the last 3 years of that 7-year contract. We will have a team option to get out of it in the final year of his contract, but I thought that bringing him on board was a lot more important at this stage in their career than bringing Christian Javier back. You can see he's got brilliant stuff, plus movement and plus control, and he's got a pretty respectable arsenal with 4 very good pitches in addition to a mediocre changeup. So expect him to continue leading our rotation, hopefully for the next half decade plus. And we've also re-signed closer Tim Wallace, so we've officially kind of brought back everyone that we wanted to before free agency even started. Have to give him $10.5 million. It's going to be his could be his final year with us. Not sure how much we want to continue paying a reliever, but he has been brilliant for us over the years. You can see through his major league career, he's posted a 193 ERA plus over 352 games, 207 of which were saves, and a 63 FIP minus. So he has been a fantastic reliever for us, and no better than he was last year when he posted a 3.6 WAR and a sterling 370 ERA plus with a almost unbelievable 29 FIP minus. So happy to have him back as our closer for next season. And one other piece of news, our buddy Grimy is now no longer injured, so we may try to shop him now to see what, if anything, we can get for him. I think the thought is we will turn the center field job over to the younger and much more cost-effective Eric Cares, who, as I talked about earlier, probably potentially a slightly better bat over the long term. Not quite as good in the field, but he's also younger and less injury prone. So let's see if anybody really has an interest in taking on Mike Grimes in his contract. I have a feeling, given the amount, there's probably not going to be a ton of interest, but since it's really a salary dump for us, if we can get anything for him, it's probably worthwhile. And it looks like only the LA Angels are really interested, so we'll take a look at these players that they're offering and see if maybe we can put together a deal with them to take Grimy off of our books. And it's kind of unexciting for a player of Grimes' stature, but we may trade him for the 24-year-old right fielder Dave Grazer. You can see a average kind of bat, a mediocre outfielder defensively, although he does have a great arm. He does have a good work ethic, but importantly, he's on a minimum contract and he's got 2 option years left. So if we need some additional help in the outfield because of injuries, he's somebody who we could bring up to the majors, but we've got option years on him the next 2 years. Also from Brooklyn, so a local kid for the Yankees, and went to Don Bosco Prep, along with many players on our team and in our system. One of the big feeders into the baseball world here in OOTP. So we're going to try to put something together, dump in Grimy's contract to get Dave Grazer. Maybe going to take a look and see if we can get them to throw in another reliever. Greg Sims would be pretty nice. Was a 3rd-round pick. Still got 3 years of minor league option years left. Not necessarily a great player, but he's got the most potential of anyone in their system. Since he's a closer, they may value him a little more than a reliever. Well, they need more time to make up their mind. Actually, though, we can get the deal done. It looks like they will be interested in a lot of people in our organization. I see a 24-year-old first baseman that they're interested in. Yeah. Dave Mallett, who is 24 years old in single A, was a 13th round draft pick for us a couple seasons ago. Very happy to add him into the deal to bring on both Dave Grazer and Greg Sims, who will give us a little more depth in the minor leagues, the high minor leagues, players who can potentially contribute at the major league level eventually, and also have the option years so we can shuttle them back and forth between the majors and AAA over the next few years. So we are going to go ahead and complete that trade. The fans are not pleased that we let Grimy go. And he was also a captain, so that's not optimal. But looking at the Yankees, still have 100 fan interest, astronomical market size, good fan loyalty, and the whole scheme of things has not been a big problem for us. So positive to get that contract off the books. Ownership wants us to get to 210 million this year. You can see we're only at 213 right now, and as I've mentioned, we don't have too much we need to do this offseason. Basically just need to figure out a backup infielder now that we've traded away Grimy and we've brought back Bobby Chapa. So we probably could get under 210 if we really wanted to, but the point is to win the championship, so I'm not going to go crazy trying to make a somewhat fickle owner happy with what they're looking for from season to season. Obviously, if I could throw them a bone and get it under 210, would happily do that, but have already cut a lot of payroll by letting people like Christian Javier go and trading away Grimes. So I feel like we're trying, but if we don't meet his goal, we don't meet his goal. We're coming off a World Series championship, and our goal is to win another one with this high-powered team. And as we kind of think about some of the financial aspects of the team while we're on this page, we're bumping up ticket prices just a little bit from $37 to $38.50, so a 4.1% change. You can see we sold a little less than 22,000 season tickets last year, but with the team performing incredibly, we're basically sold out just about every game once the season got going. So I think that we can certainly increase those prices a bit to generate a bit more revenue. And then we also have our scouting budget and our development budget potentially maxed out again for next season. Going to put the full 5,000 into the international free agent budget. Our draft budget a little low now, but still plenty of capacity to bring people on. And with the financial situation that we are in right now, where we have over 46 million for free agents and no real major plans in free agency, when we get to that point, we'll have plenty of flexibility to draft anybody that we want and pay them as much as we want next season. If a player who's a second round talent is looking for, $6 million or something and drops to the fifth or sixth round, we'll be able to afford to bring them on if we decide to. And we are now heading through award season, so let's see what the world champion Yankees did as far as some big awards for last season. A couple of Gold Gloves. Catcher Drew Romo repeats as the Gold Glove winner in the American League in his second season with the team. 2 Gold Gloves for him. And then third baseman Victor Mejias, his first full season in the majors, also earns a Gold Glove. So that is possible. Our closer, Tim Wallace, wins the Reliever of the Year award, and Ken Thomas actually finished third in the voting. Both of them will be back with us next season. Looking at the Silver Sluggers, only 2 for the Yankees. Shiku Shu, longtime brilliant right fielder for us, another excellent year, batting .306, 26 homers, 93 runs batted in. And then the youngster Gabe Cologne at designated hitter, his first full season in the majors was brilliant, batted .323 with 26 homers and 112 batted in. So brilliant seasons for both of our Silver Slugger Award winners. Rookie of the Year, no Yankees involved in Rookie of the Year this season. AL Manager of the Year, not surprisingly, our young manager Colin Cowgill. When you go 113-49 in the regular season, you're going to be pretty competitive for Manager of the Year, and he won Manager of the Year, and obviously we topped that off with a World Series victory, so no surprise there. American League Cy Young Award winner Alex Gonzalez of Baltimore. A couple of Yankees got votes. Bobby Chapa, who we've re-signed to that long contract as our number one starter, as well as our two relievers, Ken Thomas and Tim Wallace. So some votes for the Yankees there for Cy Young, even though we weren't close. And then MVP, Wander Franco with another MVP award. You can see among the Yankees, Bo Bichette was fifth in the voting. Gabe Cologne was seventh. And then Shiku Shu and Dave Bravo also received votes for the Yankees. But Wander Franco, with his sixth MVP award in 2034, he has had a pretty impressive career, to say the least. He's going to be turning 34 next season, and he already has almost 2,700 hits, over 350 home runs, and a 343 career batting average. So a brilliant career for Wander Franco, who started with Tampa and has now played about half of his career with the Rangers at this point. And we're at the start of free agency. As I mentioned, no huge needs for the team, but I do see the guy we were just talking about, six-time MVP Wander Franco out there. We don't need a third baseman. We've got a young third baseman coming off of a Gold Glove award, but we have just about enough money that if we really wanted to sign Wander Franco, we could add him to this dream team that we're putting together. I don't think we'll do that, even though we could. Just because we could doesn't mean that we should. That would move Mejias into the kind of utility infielder role that we need to fill. It would just be so gluttonous to do that. It would be such a Yankees thing. But I don't think we should do that. We're always looking for more starters. Quite honestly, the pool of starters this year is not really that great. Marcus Trimmel, who is actually a player that we traded away years ago. I believe when we brought on Garrett Edwards, we traded him back in 2028 when he was the number 42 prospect in the game to the White Sox to bring on Garrett Edwards, who is no longer with us, but was a big prospect in our system. You can see he has just brilliant stuff and two incredible pitches and two other very good pitches, but his movement and control have never really developed as much as you would hope. You can see over the last 3 years, he's led the American League in strikeouts twice and walks once. But, his WARs have been positive and coming off a minus .5 WAR this past season. His ERA pluses have always been below average. So he is probably, we're not going to be too tempted to spend a lot of money in free agency with him kind of being the headliner of a pretty mediocre free agent starting pitching class. So the issue is just who, if anyone, do we want to bring on to kind of help our middle infield. So we're going to do a little work on that decision. Our old buddy, actually, he won't be listed under a shortstop, but if we search under second basemans, we will find our old friend Nick Gonzalez, who's looking for about $5.5 million. That's more than we want to pay him. I think we can probably find a even better utility infielder for either a similar price or not much more, who's probably a better player than Gonzalez. So his Yankees career may be ending in his mid-30s. I'm not going to lie. I'm tempted by Wander Franco. I know it's the wrong thing to do. Victor Mejia is 25 years old, coming off a gold glove in a world championship, but he's pretty versatile defensively. Definitely does not have the range that you want for a shortstop, but he can play there in a pinch. The rest of his ratings are pretty strong, though, so he's a gold glove winning third baseman, can also certainly play first or second for us. Do we turn this youngster who finally got some playing time on a regular basis this year into a super sub, kind of the role that DJ LeMahieu is kind of playing for the Yankees right now in real baseball, kind of filling in 4 or 5 days a week at all of the infield positions, and except for shortstop, and giving people some days off, and also there in case we have injuries. I'm just so tempted, given that the amount of money we have available is almost exactly what we would need to sign Wander Franco, and we're in win now mode, and we're the Yankees. He's 33, he's going to be 34. I think the question for me is how many years he's looking for. He's probably going to be looking for 6 years. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to give Wander Franco 6 years. Obviously, he's coming off another brilliant season where he won the MVP award. Still a great contact hitter. Very good at avoiding Ks, but his gap power, his home run power, and his eye and discipline are, only a little bit above average now. And he's 33 years old, so he's going to be trending, towards an above average batter from an exceptional batter over the next few years. Would still love to bring that bat on board. I'm not going to diminish bringing on a 6-time Gold Glove Award winner, a 6-time MVP. Forget the Gold Gloves, 6-time MVP, and you can see tons of All-Stars and Silver Sluggers also in his career. What the heck? I'm going to see if he'll go for a contract for a little bit less. Looking at our team, we've got $49 million to spend. It's going to make ownership angry, but we've already maxed out our scouting budget, already maxed out our development budget. We're the Yankees. The goal is to win World Series championships. It's a simple question. Is any team in the history of baseball much better with Wander Franco than without Wander Franco? And the answer is yes. So if we can afford him, and we can, we're going to make an offer. It may not be enough for him. I don't want to pay him the full $43 million a year he's looking for. Don't want to go for 6 years. I'm willing to go for 4 years if we turn the player option into a team option that last season. And let's see if he'll go for $38 million a year for those 4 years. Actually, no. We'll throw him a bone here. We've got money right now. We'll pay him $46 million this coming year, and then knock it down to $36 million a year for each of the last 3 seasons of the contract. Team option for that final season. So overall, it is going to be it's a pretty good offer. I just don't know if he's going to want to go for 4 years, but we're going to give it a try, see what he thinks. If he is insulted, it's not the end of the world for us, because we don't really need him. Interesting. He really wants the player option, and he doesn't want it to be as front loaded, but he's getting more money in that. I don't know that I want him for that 4th year, but let's see if we can. We'll give him more money than we were offering before, and we'll give him an offer that is a higher average value than what he was just asking for us, just structured a little bit differently. Instead of $40.8 million for 4 years in a row, we're going to give him $44 in the first, followed by $40 each for the last 3 seasons, including our option year. I don't know that he's going to go for it, but we'll also bump him up to $1 million for an MVP and $250,000 for an all-star. He wants what he wants. He really wants that player option in the final year. How about a 3-year contract with no player option? $46 million this year, followed by 43, followed by 40. You're going to make some crazy money, Wander. Now, he's obsessed with that player option. He'll be 37 years old. All right, we'll give him the option to get out. He was looking for a 6-year contract to begin with, and we've got him down to 4 years. So we've already kind of insulated ourselves a little bit from the worst risk associated with him in his late 30s. So let's see if he'll go for 46 for the first year, followed by 38. Actually, we want to make that player option even less. So we're going to switch that player option to 34 for that final year. Try to see if that will convince him to leave us, perhaps. All right. We are submitting an offer to Wander Franco. 4 years, $156 million. We'll see what happens. And the New York Yankees have signed Wander Franco. We have a 25-year-old Gold Glove winning third baseman who is coming off of a fantastic season, who is now going to become our utility infielder, because we have signed Wander Franco for 4 years, almost $40 million a season. The Yankees are defending World Series champions, and clearly we are all in on trying to repeat in the 2035 season. And we're not doing much to change our pitching, but we are going to try to bludgeon people to death with an incredible offense in the upcoming season. And a little bit of disappointing news, especially since we haven't invested anything in our pitching staff during free agency, but the youngster Ruben Mariona with a setback, out for another 3 months. You can see his profile is kind of trending towards a average major league starter, but despite that, he was brilliant with a 3.79 ERA plus in the 9 games he pitched for us before he got injured. Still only going to be turning 23 right when the season is getting started, so still has potential to become a significant contributor for our team down the line, but obviously having a setback with that serious shoulder injury is not optimal. And the baseball gods do not seem pleased with our aggressive signing of Wander Franco. Just experienced torn ankle ligaments on the second day of spring training, going to be out for 8 weeks. So after being an incredibly durable player throughout the course of his career, joins the Yankees, and he is headed to the injured list. Obviously, we have tons of depth, so the fact that we're going to probably be without him for the first month of the season is not the end of the world, but perhaps not a good sign that the defense of the title in the upcoming season is going to go as smoothly as we had hoped. And we've made a few minor league signings just to bolster our depth, particularly at AAA if we do have more injuries, given that we are a win-now team. And one of them is bringing back our old friend Jason Dominguez, 32 years old. His career has not gone as hoped when he came up to the majors with us, hit 30 homers, 30-plus homers each of his first 4 seasons, and then really just kind of dropped off the map in terms of his talent. And you can see we had him for another couple years, and then he's been with Colorado, Washington, and St. Louis over the past 3 years. Has not had more than 283 at-bats in a season over the past 5 years. So really just a player who hit the wall after age 26 when he was supposed to be coming into his prime. He's a probably slightly below average bat at this point, can play all three outfield positions, good in the clubhouse, so happy to have him on board, but a bit sad to see what happened with a career that once looked so promising just 5 years ago. And another relatively serious spring training injury for the Yankees. Tyson Neighbors, one of the key starters in our rotation, out with a strained shoulder for 6 weeks. Given that it's March 23rd, the hope would be to have him back by mid to early May. Probably going to require a stint in AAA for rehab and getting back into shape, hopefully early in May when he does get back. But our pitching depth is not what it has been, particularly in the starting rotation after letting Christian Javier go as a free agent and not signing any free agent pitchers. So hopefully we can, do it with offense this year until Neighbors and then Kindon Lavelle, who's still out with that elbow reconstruction surgery, probably gone for the whole year, so we won't have him. And then Ruben Mariona is kind of the key if he can bounce back from that shoulder inflammation. But feeling a little less confident in our entire starting rotation at this point with Neighbors now out. But we will see what happens. May always be able to pick up a decent starting pitcher on a minor league contract here as we get closer to the start of the regular season. Actually, we'll take a look at that right now and see who's out there as far as starting pitchers. Yeah, nothing exceptional. Victor Munoz, who's out for 5 months with a torn flexor tendon in his elbow. The top pitchers are all injured. No one that exciting. Eric Sarantola, yeah, he's not a guy that we want pitching for us in the majors. So we're going to go with who we've got right now. We don't have a ton of money for free agents, but as we get close to the regular season starting, we've got an average farm system, but we do have the 11th and the 34th best prospects in the game. So if we need to make a trade for starting pitching as we get into the season and get closer to the trade deadline, feel pretty confident we'll be able to pull something off. And the Yankees have made it to the end of spring training. It's Monday, April 2nd. Feeling optimistic as we head into this 2035 season. Even though we raised ticket prices, I've sold a few more season tickets than last year. Hopefully can be generating about $2 million a game in revenue, selling out most if not all games. Looking at our roster, we do have some key injuries. Wander Franco, the huge free agent acquisition in the offseason, is out with torn ankle ligaments for another 3 weeks. Hopefully can get him down to a rehab assignment in AAA towards the end of April and have him back, before we've played too long. Chris Cox and Kindon Lavelle are both out for the year, most likely. But we are going to be waiting for Ruben Mariona in a couple of weeks to hopefully recover from that shoulder inflammation and join our starting rotation. And then Tyson Neighbors is probably about a month and a half away, given that he'll need a rehab assignment. Could be closer to 2 months. But we have a 6-time MVP who will become our starting third baseman on the injured list, as well as 2 people in Mariona and Neighbors who will slot right into our starting rotation when they get back. So reinforcements are definitely on the way for our team as we prepare to break camp and begin the 2035 season. Looking at our starting rotation, definitely headlined by Bobby Chapa, who we re-signed to the huge contract before free agency started. But with the injuries we have to, 3 starting pitchers, one of whom is going to be out for the whole year, and Lavelle, rotation is definitely not strong. Jack Leiter is slotted in as our number 2 starter. Euricio Castillo, the left-hander, in the 3 slot. Max Alba, who has been with us for several years now, kind of as that swing man, sixth starter, long reliever, will be in the fourth slot. And then Tony Fierro is going to be making his major league debut with us as our fifth starter. Clearly, when we do get either Neighbors and or Mariona back, he'll probably be headed back down to AAA, but hopefully he can do a good job for us in the coming weeks. Bullpen is still a big strength for us with Wallace, his closer, Thomas on the back end, Tamasin Kaku, who we signed as a international free agent last season, hopefully can do an even better job for us this year, and have Danny Harder and Brian Abreu back as well, kind of highlighting the rotation. And then a couple of lefties in Luis Ortiz and Tony Rivas. So the bullpen is solid. The rotation will be better once we get everyone healthy. But it's all going to come down to the lineup, which is pretty incredible, even before we get Wander Franco back. Bo Bichette going to be leading off, playing shortstop for us. The veteran is still a excellent offensive player and a great defensive player. Shiku Shu going to play right field for us once again. The youngster Gabe Colon will be in left field for us. Kevin Daniels, who has just kind of exploded through our minor league system and really developed into an awesome batting profile the last couple of years. He was a first-round pick of ours in 2029, but had just not really become the prospect we had hoped until recently. We look at the rating history for him, if I can pull it up here to show you the way that he has evolved. And you see that he has just, over the last few years, turned from someone who we thought was going to be a decent player to someone who could be a really incredible hitter, at least based on the way that both his contact, his power, and his eye have all just evolved dramatically over the past 2 or 3 seasons. And he started showing it last year in the in the lineup. Although he only hit .232 at the major league level, still generated a 111 OPS plus in his limited action. But more importantly, last year at AAA put up a 126 OPS plus. So interestingly, our manager has put him in at left field against right-handed batters instead of the veteran Jared Kelenic, who is going to be an incredible bat to have coming off our bench as a pinch hitter in key situations. Dave Bravo going to play first, Eric Cares center field, Victor Mejias third base until Wander Franco is back, and then he will become a super utility infielder for us. Drew Romo at catcher, and then Jose Montoya at second base. So really like the lineup, and it's only going to be stronger when Wander Franco is back. And looking at versus left-handers, the only real change is that Kelenic will get back into the lineup as the designated hitter against left-handers. And Shiku Shu, again, showing what an incredible team we have against lefties. He is not going to be in the lineup, according to our manager, so will be an incredible bat to have coming off the bench. And at 36 years old, we'll also give him a little rest from time to time. So very optimistic about the lineup. I feel that the rotation will be more than good enough once we get back Neighbors and Mariona and slot them into the starting rotation. So if we can avoid pitching injuries, which is always a crapshoot, feel real good about the team. And even if we do have some pitching injuries at this point, we've got about $5 million in money for free agents. Sure that as we get closer to the trade deadline, we will be able to figure out something to bring on a starting pitcher if we need, and do the contract adjustments and shenanigans necessary to ensure that we can help the team as we try to hopefully repeat as World Series champions. And looking at the preseason predictions, 109 and 53 in the sim for the Yankees. So we are projected to run away with the American League East for a second consecutive season. Hopefully that will be the case. Looking at the expectation for the top hitters, Bo Bichette is the only batter we have listed there. Presumably, if Wander Franco was not on the injured list, he would be on that list also. Top pitchers, though, Bobby Chapa, could be poised for another big season for us, and then our closer Tim Wallace hopefully will have another incredible season. So thanks so much for watching. Feeling very optimistic. Obviously, you should after a season in which you're bringing back just about everybody from a World Championship squad, and you've added a 6-time MVP in Wander Franco. So even though he's on the injured list right now, feel that we have a potentially great season ahead of us for the Yankees. It is win it all or bust, and we will be back in our next episode to see how the season goes. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.